Kopi in a comfortable second. She's a Tempest in the lime colors down at the rail. Great 48 fourth with 5 furlongs to run. Then it's Nothing Like You. It's Kinza to the half-mile pole, leading a length and a half now to Kopian in second. She's a Tempest at the rail. Nothing Like You pushed along inside to take fourth in front of Great 48. 3 furlongs remaining. Kinza and Kopian, neither have gone the distance, and they're starting to pull away from the competition. She's a Tempest third, and then Nothing Like You, a quarter of a mile to go. Kinza still 3/4 of a length. Kopian called on now, trying to close the gap. Top of the lane, Kinza maintains the lead, coming to the 8th pole. Kopian fully extended, but now 2.5 behind, and then She's a Tempest. They're coming to the 16th pole, and Kinza just keeps on rolling on the front end. And they couldn't get close to Kinza. Kinza too strong to score in the Las Virgenes. Kopian second best. She's a Tempest third in front of Nothing Like You. Next, the 6th. It's the start of the $3 All-Turf Pick 3. Races 6, 8, and 10 today for the All-Turf Pick 3. The 50-cent late Pick 5 also starts in 20. And they're off. It's a quick start for Atomic Drop, who's coming through to battle with Solardi through the opening furlong. Solardi is just in front. Hot Box 3 off the pace in third. Give Me the Loot broke well, settles in fourth. Followed by Raging Waters, 5 off the pace in fifth. Then Canderel, who's racing in between rivals, joined at the rail by Slew's Joy, who's 6 lengths off the lead as they pass the half-mile pole. Canderel in that little cluster, racing on the inside of Exaltation, and the trailer at the back is Barristan the Bold. It is Atomic Drop into the far turn, chased by Solardi. Hot Box, Give Me the Loot on the outside, moves up to take third. They're followed by Exaltation, who's 1 from the outside, coming toward the quarter pole. Canderel loses some ground. Barristan the Bold making a wide bid. He is racing about 6 lengths off the lead, and just in front of Raging Waters as Give Me the Loot is up to take the lead. Here's Barristan the Bold coming with a steamroll in the center of the course, and in between them, Exaltation. Exaltation, Barristan the Bold. Exaltation, Barristan the Bold. Barristan the Bold and Exaltation. That's actually too close to call, and it could go either way. It's either Exaltation or Barristan the Bold. Very close between those two. It's a bob of the noses. Hot Box, Give Me the Loot. We're behind them. We're in the gate. And they're off. Even start. Saul's Call in the center is sent out for the early lead. Soul of Midnight comes through to try and challenge in second. They're followed by Bags Gold. We're going to have a good time as the gray down at the rail. And Spiritual Advisor moves up to be a joint third. That group is followed by Enjoy It Straight in the red with 5 lengths to make up. Minister Shane is next, racing 2 clear of Hey Mel. We're going to have a good time has now lost ground, passed by Hondo Crouch. 3 furlongs out. Saul's Call to catch. Leads a length and a half over Soul of Midnight in second. Then Spiritual Advisor at the rail. Bags Gold inches up outside of that one. And Enjoy It Straight, 3 deep, 6 off the pace, followed by Minister Shane. Past the quarter pole and turning for home. Saul's Call confronted by Soul of Midnight. Saul's Call digs in. Soul of Midnight. Here's Spiritual Advisor trying to split rivals. Then comes Bags Gold. Enjoy It Straight is finishing with interest. And Minister Shane is coming fast along the inside. Spiritual Advisor comes away with the lead. Has to fend off Enjoy It Straight. Enjoy It Straight on the outside. Enjoy It Straight got up by a head. Spiritual Advisor lost a heartbreaker. Behind them, it was between Minister Shane and Hondo Crouch, who surfaced from well out of it, then Bags Gold. 22 minutes. Short man to the outside. In the gate. They're off in the San Marcos, and Balladeer bounces out right on top. Irish Prophet is up close in the opening stages, as is Miss the Cut, who comes through in the green silks along the inside as they cross the dirt and get to the main course. Victor Espinoza has the speedy Balladeer leading the way, opens up two. Irish Prophet cuts into the margin just a touch, and Miss the Cut settles nicely in third. They're followed by Eastern Ocean, 4 off the pacemaker. Then it's Planetario and Shortman. Balladeer comes by the stands with an uncontested lead, bounding along with a 2-length advantage over Irish Prophet in second. Joel Rosario has Missed the Cut, 4 off the pace under a nice hold third, and Eastern Ocean is fourth with 7 furlongs to run. Then it's Shortman on the outside of Planetario. Balladeer shakes loose, 3-length lead now. Irish Prophet, a clear-cut second, 2 in front of Missed the Cut third. Then Eastern Ocean, who's fourth now, 10 lengths off the pacemaker, Planetario and Shortman. It's Balladeer over his favorite course, extending the margin to almost 4 lengths. Irish Prophet second. Missed the Cut still on hold third. Another 2 back to Eastern Ocean with a half-mile to travel in the San Marcos Stakes. Planetario and Shortman. No change in the running order. Balladeer taking them along by 2 over Irish Prophet, who's been second the whole way. Balladeer just got a breather and opens it up to 3 again. Eastern Ocean making his move now to take third. Missed the Cut just inside of him. Shortman and Planetario, a quarter of a mile to go. It's Balladeer. Irish Prophet comes to him. Missed the Cut, traveling beautifully along the rail. Needs racing room. He's trying to get through the narrowest of openings, and he gets through. Missed the Cut, scrapes that rail, and on the outside, Planetario, but it's Missed the Cut, and Joel Rosario spurting clear at the 16th pole. Planetario's trying to get to him late. Missed the Cut. Missed the Cut. Rosario put on a clinic, wins by a length and a half. Planetario was second. It's a long way back. 4 of them across the course, battling it out for third. In the gate. And they're off. Even beginning. Grand Tiger is flashing sharp early foot up to take the lead. Vinny the Coin matches strides with him. Golf Drama hustled up for early speed in third. They're followed by Quagmire Magic, 6 off the leaders in fourth. Then Eagles Landing, followed by Tiger's Arrow, who's 8 lengths off the leaders. Toledo Rocket in the lime colors is moving up on the far outside of Quagmire Magic now, goes by that rival. Then it's a gap of 4 to the 2 trailers, Road of Love and Rogue Sun at the back of the field. Grand Tiger and Vinny the Coin going at it. 5 back comes Golf Drama in third. Mr. Beams is in fourth. They're followed by Quagmire Magic inside Toledo Rocket at the rail. Eagles Landing there at the top of the stretch, and Grand Tiger gets the upper hand on Vinny the Coin, leads it by 2 lengths at the 8th pole. 4 lengths back, Golf Drama on the outside is Mr. Beams, who's making progress. Both of them are coming after Grand Tiger. Grand Tiger, 2-length lead close to home, and it will be Grand Tiger who won the battle and the war. Golf Drama a good second. Then it was Mr. Beams in third, 3 across for fourth between Tiger's Arrow, Quagmire Magic, and Eagles Landing. They're in the gate. And they're off. Stay and Scam is going out for the early lead. Stay and Scam with good early foot. Alternate Rock is up alongside, and now here's Free and Humble coming through at the rail, and Free and Humble vying for the lead. Just behind them comes Kitty Katana. Thrump's Dream is racing in fifth. Then it's Princess Bettina, just 3 lengths off the lead. The 2 trailers are Bella D and Customer List is at the back of the field. Princess Bettina headstrong, and she blows right by them. And Princess Bettina quickly opens up. Princess Bettina suddenly 3 lengths to the good. In second is Stay and Scam. They're followed by Alternate Rock on the outside, and Free and Humble is 4 lengths off this leader. Then Kitty Katana, followed by Thrump's Dream, Customer List, and Bella D in the blue. They pass the quarter pole and come for home, and it is Princess Bettina. Here's Stay and Scam coming right back, though, and Stay and Scam with a beautiful trip has taken over. Late run coming from Kitty Katana in the center of the course. Thrump's Dream on the outside of Alternate Rock. It's Stay and Scam. Stay and Scam, too strong. Stay and Scam scores by 2. Princess Bettina second, Kitty Katana finished third, and then it's a photo for fourth involving a closing Customer List who might have gotten that in front of Thrump's Dream. 5.
San Francisco quarterback Brock Purdy might be known as Mr. Irrelevant since he was the last pick in his draft class, but the gentleman sitting next to me, he's always relevant. He's the voice of sanity. His name, Frank Mirahmadi. Frankie, happy Big Game Sunday. Welcome to the seminar.
Happy Big Game Sunday to you, my friend. Always a pleasure to hang out.
We've got like 8 minutes to talk about football before we talk about horses. Of course, everybody wants to know, you're the master of Super Bowl knowledge. Who do you like in the game?
Don't look at the stats over the years.
Who do you like in the game?
I'm an NFC man over the years. I'm not a part of the Chiefs kingdom. I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. So I would say, like, am I a Swiftie? Sure.
Did you track her plane coming in from Japan?
No, I
to
didn't,
LAX?
but I did
No?
read about it. I know that she got there. She had plenty of time, landed in Los Angeles.
Yep.
Good, safe travels. She's happy. I love Taylor Swift. I think she's an absolute legend.
Have you ever seen her in concert?
I have not, but very big fan.
Okay.
I mean, she's just an ultra talented girl and does it.
No, she's rooting against you if you're rooting for the 49ers.
Yeah, I got it. And here's the funny part. As our man behind the scenes, Brian Martinez, and I have been suffering as Dallas Cowboy fans since we were children. And
that's a long, cold spell.
He sent me a text last night that he was watching the 1980 Dallas Cowboys Atlanta Falcons playoff game, I'm thinking like, man, that's pretty sad that we got to go back to 1980 to enjoy some good
And on a
moments.
Saturday night of all nights to be watching
Late
something
night,
like that.
it's okay. Before you go to bed, you watch that. You see Roger the Dodger.
It's better than Netflix.
That's it. I mean, I don't even have Netflix, but I think I should get it because I keep hearing about all these great shows, and maybe I could occupy my time with some of that. But so growing up as a kid, my first team was the Cowboys. Roger Staubach, Danny White, that whole team loved them. And then when Mr. Jones fired Tom Landry, I was pretty much done with the Cowboys. So amazingly, I ended up kind of missing out on those great years with Troy Aikman. Even though he's a UCLA guy, I just wasn't into the Cowboys anymore.
The whole bit.
Oh, it's a great team. I mean, but there's certain matchups, no matter what, like to this day, where if the Cowboys meet a certain team, I have to be on the Cowboys bandwagon. Including
emotionally or financially when you say you have to be on the bandwagon?
Mostly emotionally.
Okay.
Sometimes financially, certainly. When they get drilled, I'm probably on them, But anyway, when they play the 49ers, I mean, the 49ers are a staunch enemy. The catch still haunts me to this day because I was majorly into the Cowboys at that time of my life, and that was a horror show. And I do think Joe Montana is the best quarterback that ever lived. Let me say that.
He's the GOAT.
There's no question.
Better than Tom Brady.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
And Tom Brady's an absolute icon. I mean, let's not take.
Did you like him during his career? I kind of my mind is racing as to whether or not you had a vendetta against him.
Tom Brady trampled me for years. I was glad when he finally retired because I fought him and it was not pretty. The worst time I ever fought him was on a Monday Night Football game. I was living in Shreveport at the time.
Louisiana Downs.
Yep, I was at Louisiana Downs. It was a Monday Night Football game, and it was the Patriots at the Vikings. And my man had the black gloves on for the, I think it was, who's the quarterback? Brad something or another was the quarterback for the Vikings back then. Anyway.
Brad Johnson.
Yeah, there you go. Good job. Anyway, they got absolutely blown out. I'm thinking this is the stupidest bet in North American history. I don't think I've ever had a worse play than that. I mean, just looking at those gloves, and Tom Brady just absolutely mauled them. But so I'm a stubborn guy, and the same thing with the Chiefs. And when we sat here last year, I like the Eagles.
That was a good game, though. Right? I mean, it was
a good game. And if you had the Chiefs, it was a great game. If you had the Eagles,
it was a tale of two halves, let's say, right? The first half, right?
Yeah, and now they have those bets: first half, first quarter, first score.
Do you get involved in any of those prop bets?
Once in a while.
Okay.
I think the right prop bet today, without any question, and the quote-unquote Sharpies are against this, but I think they're wrong on this one, from what I've heard, is the over/under on Brock Purdy's rushing yards. It's 12.5. It almost stings like a trap because it seems so obvious. One good scramble,
which he had in the last game.
He should have again, I would imagine. I think that's the play over anything, is over on
He might be running for his life, right?
He probably will. Because there's another prop. A friend of mine sent me a text this morning. There's another prop about rushing attempts is only 3.5. So I think they're just
for Brock.
Yeah, he's going to be under siege and he's not going to be getting out of there is what they're thinking, I guess. But yeah, I just think if you look at this season, and I realize that the Chiefs are playing unbelievable ball right now, but really, are they? The Chiefs were terrible during this season. When I say terrible, I mean by their standards.
A lot of people question them.
They were, believe me when I tell you, I mean, they lost to the Broncos. They lost to the Raiders, I think. They had some bad games this year. And so if you looked at it like in the middle of the season, the 49ers and the Chiefs, you would think that the 49ers are the far better team. I think the best of the 49ers is way better than what the best of the Chiefs has been. But, I'm a hashtag winners win type of guy.
Yes. And, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They're tough.
Right. The thing about Andy Reid, I can never get out. I can't get out.
Pass and kick when he was 12 years old. You ever see that at the LA Coliseum?
No, but I did see fake Andy Reid on Twitter the other day. That guy is phenomenal. Whoever that fake Andy Reid guy is an unbelievable lookalike with some funny quotes. But I just remember those looks of his zooming in on him when he was with the Eagles. And in those NFC
he looked lost in the forest.
Done every time. And so it's like we used to call him the mustache. That was our nickname for him back then. It's just hard to go to Andy Reid ever. And meanwhile, he's great. Let's look. The record speaks in the end on everything, right? But I think the 49ers are going to blow them out. I have it 38-20 Niners.
Now, rumor has it Frankie Dettori is off all mounts today. You'll be able to confirm that in a minute. And the reason why he's off all mounts is because he's heading down the road about 300 miles away to go attend the Super Bowl. It's good to be Frankie Dettori.
Of course, well, he's a legend. I mean, so he probably, and the best part is he's got plenty of cash to be able to buy the ticket. And I would say I'll take the under on what he spent for that ticket. I'm going to say he spent a big bagel zero. I think someone's guessed is my guess.
Of course.
I don't think he's spending,
of course,
10,000 to go to the Super Bowl.
Have you been in Allegiant Stadium? I have not.
I have not. I'd love to get there. It's very nice, and I've seen it from the outside.
Yeah, me too. Driving down the 15.
Unfortunately, I've seen it from the outside. Yeah.
What about our jockey colony here? We've just touched upon Frankie Dettori, but we're blessed right now during the winter meet, right? Flavian Pratt, Joel Rosario, Umberto Rispoli went up north yesterday and won a stakes race, the El Camino Real Derby for trainer Michael McCarthy.
Let's not forget our leading rider, Juan Hernandez.
Juan Hernandez. He's easy to forget, right? Because he's here year round. That's my point. Is right now there's an invasion of riders that is really making the colony deep.
Yeah, and Juan is a phenomenal rider, and he was. And I've always rooted for him in a way. You can't be biased in my position, but I'm just happy for him because I got to call him for so long in Northern California when I was up there during the fairs, and then my time at Golden Gate. I had some chances to see him ride, and I always thought. In fact, I remember meeting him for the first time at the big Fresno Fair. We all stayed at the Holiday Inn. It was kind of like a little bit of like a summer camp type of thing.
The Ritz-Carlton of Fresno?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, exactly. Just a few less stars in that particular Holiday Inn. But I met him one day, and I was just always wondering, like, why is this guy not in Southern California?
Well, Joel was up there, Abel Castillo, Martin Garcia. I mean, they had a lot of good riders up there.
No question. Ricky Gonzalez came down from there over there. A lot of those guys have come down, but Juan really stood out to me. And I just think that he's such a patient rider, and he's just a great finisher, very strong, and seems to be in the right place. And look, he's earned the opportunities that he has, and you'll see it in today's card when he gets to ride some really top-class horses. So good for him. And, Flavian Pratt, showing his excellence yesterday, winning with 2 photos, making the difference. I mean, for Big City Lights to get up in that race.
Never gave up.
That was an incredible finish, a very exciting one. It pays to be Calbred for my CTVA people.
Joel up the rail in the other stakes race,
great.
Missed the cut.
Missed the cut. Joel is a great finisher. He's like the new Eddie D because I think, and it's probably wrong, but I just have this feeling that Joel loves the drama of the close victory. And I think maybe in life we try to challenge ourselves. Whatever we're doing in life, like sometimes we will push ourselves to make it more difficult in order to maybe just challenge ourselves individually. I know that's maybe a far-fetched thought process, but I watch a lot of races and I see a lot of dramatic finishes involving Joel, particularly sprints on the turf, both in New York and over here and across the country. Like, he loves to get up just like Eddie D did by that much. And then I just think it probably gives you a little extra adrenaline when you time it to perfection. But he's certainly very skilled. We have a great colony and a lot of up-and-coming riders that have stepped up, and some new faces, and so it becomes a challenge for them to kind of, get their, Tiago Pereira, a veteran who's just continuing to ride. Yeah, he rides really well. He gets the job done. There are many others, so forgive us if we haven't name-dropped you during this time frame.
We've got the pleasure and the opportunity to find out who Frank likes on today's 9-race card, but before we do any of that, we're going to make the screen blank and have Frank give us the changes. When we resume, we'll start the seminar and find out who Frank is going to give out as winners on today's card.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, where the track is fast and the turf course is firm. The rail on the turf is out 10 feet. Here are the early changes on this big game Sunday. In the first race, start of the early pick 5, there are no changes. Race 2, program scratch of number 1, Irish Wahine. Turning to the third race, no changes. Fourth race starts the $1 pick 6. No changes. In race 5, scratch number 6, Bronster. Race 5, scratch number 6, Bronster. It's also leg 1 of the $3 all-turf pick 3. Turning to the 6th race, start of the late pick 4, scratch number 1, Revised Statute. Number 1, Revised Statute, scratched out of race 6. Turning to the 7th race, no changes. In the 8th race, Start of the golden hour, pick 4, we have no changes. And in race 9, there's the program scratch of number 1, Erebus. Those are the changes. We have an early post today of 11 a.m. Post time for the opener in 57 minutes. Let's go back to Tom Quigley in the studio.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with track announcer Frank Mirahmadi. It's our pleasure to have him here before he calls today's 9 races. Frank, a quick question for you before we start handicapping. You have the uncanny ability, which is required for most announcers, to not only memorize a horse's name before the race, but then immediately hit the eject button and forget about the race that you previously called. When you handicap for the purposes of a seminar or maybe for your own personal pleasure, how do you kind of recollect the races if you do that on a day-to-day basis? Do you remember certain things about who might have won or the distance of the race? Like, how do you kind of pull back your recollection, if you know what I mean?
No, it's a good question. First of all, I think the whole thing about forgetting what you just saw is a highly overrated comment that I think it's just become a part of track announcers explain, oh, I got to forget everything. You're not going to forget everything. It's ridiculous. But I do understand the importance of clearing your mind, because there are horses. Yesterday, there was Ship and Scam, and then the other one was something
Mr.
else.
Redham.
Yeah, and then there was another one earlier.
Ship and Stay or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Do this, do that, whatever it was. You know, so you don't want to call one of them the other. And there have been announcers that have called a horse the wrong name the whole way, and that's actually, believe it or not, when an announcer calls a horse wrong the entire race, and it's happened to some of the all-time greats, it's not as bad as you think. I'll tell you what it does tell you is at least they're not looking at their program during the race, because certainly they would, at that point,
they would catch their mistake.
Exactly. And actually, at the end of every race, I like to look down and make sure everything's okay. Exactly. You don't want to go with some phantom reports. And there are times when it gets.
You're your own worst critic.
Oh, and I should be. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're at Santa Anita Park here, so you got to come with it, right?
Yes.
But to answer your question, I watch replays, and when I look at the past performances, it's amazing. Sometimes I won't even, I was like, what was this? I don't even remember the race at all, which is kind of scary. And I remember many moons ago, I was talking to Trevor Denman about Sir Beaufort, one of my favorite horses. I loved Sir Beaufort. And he was a head case, and he was a horse that took a while to break his maiden. But when he did, I remembered the call vividly. And I was telling Trevor, and he didn't remember. I'm like, how does he not remember Sir Beaufort's maiden call? Well, now I understand. Many years later, I don't even remember. There are people that come up to me and they tell me, like, you had a horse, you called this race at Golden Gate and this and that. I'm like, hey, what was the name of that horse? And I'll write it down and just go back and look it up later in case I see them again. But what I do trust my own words. I think that I have a God-given skill of reading races well, and so what I do is when I watch, I'll even listen to myself and think at least I'll know what I was thinking.
What you were thinking,
and that's what I try to share with the fans at all times in the race. It's important not to be too opinionated, Tom, but at the same time you have to have an opinion. And so what I like to share with people in the call is what I'm seeing. I've had 3 people, including one yesterday, in the last 3 months, tell me, quote, I know you bet that horse. Every one of them was wrong. I actually do everything in my power to never bet races that I'm calling. Once in a while, I mean, I can't, there's a temptation.
You're human.
Whatever. Like you said, all right, this horse isn't losing. But the funny part is, what I try to tell people is, like, my job is to celebrate winners and to read the race. So there were people convinced yesterday that Barristan the Bold, when he was coming flying on the outside, oh, you sounded like you had Barristan the Bold. I said, actually, at the top of the stretch, I thought he couldn't possibly lose. He was flying. So you're wrong. I didn't. But, and then there was a horse, Ward and Jerry, that won a Golden Gate Field, someone thought. And then there was a horse that the Jammer owned a couple weeks ago that won, that got up, and then remember that horse that just barely got up in the nose? Oh, I know you had that horse, just because I called it with excitement getting up.
You want enthusiasm.
It's actually an insult when I hear those comments.
It's somewhat of a backhand compliment, right? Because you're enthusiastically calling the winner, which is what you just described. You're celebrating winners.
Correct. So when I was looking through the card today for today's races last night and then this morning finishing it up, there was one horse that just stood out that I remembered vividly. I'm like, this horse can't lose, quote unquote. And again, put that with an asterisk and
triple asterisk.
Yeah, a lot of can't loses end up with shredded tickets on the ground. But I'll look at a race, and then another race is I'll see, in our first race, horses. I remember that race, of course, because the big boss won that, Aiden Butler's 34 Coupe, and I'm like, 34 Coupe is not exactly going to win the Breeders' Cup Mile anytime soon. So a horse that was fading against
Got
him.
claimed, by the way, so it's off of Aiden's hands.
He did get claimed, and he did a good job. He crushed it that time. It was a perfect situation. He was ready to roll. But anyway, the point is, it's I do have recollection. I like to trust my initial instincts, and but I think it's very important. The most important element of handicapping, to me, replays, trainer intent, trainers more important than anything, and just class and things of that nature. So I try to combine everything, and then I want to be right. And then there's like one long shot today that I picked second, which I really want to pick first, but I know that at the end of the day, I want to have more winners than John White did, so I'm not going to give him a freebie and take some 15-1. I'll put him second. So that's it. And I don't know who John picked today. I don't read anyone's picks or analysis before I do my selections. I mean, please, how about show up and do your own work? That's the idea.
Well, let's rattle through these 9 races, Frankie. Beginning in race number 1, where we're on the turf course. Not a cloud in the sky, by the way, so we're fast and firm, as you can see. And race number 1 is going 1 mile on the turf course for $25,000 claimers, non-winners of 2 races lifetime. Rails, as you heard Frank say, are at 10 feet. It also begins the 50-cent early pick 5. First time gelling is number 3, Hard Mission. The current betting choice is number 4, Into It, who's right at the morning line of 2-1 from trainer Richard Dutro's barn. Talk to us about race 1, Frank.
When I go to a Rick Dutrow horse, I want a horse on the rise, not a horse that's just kind of, at this level. So typically I'll go for trainers like Dutrow as they move up in class. My horse is very dead on the board currently. My top selection, number 5, Street Humor for Manny Ortiz. Couple of even efforts, stretches back out again to a mile. This is a very soft group, with all due respect. And for second, I went to number 7, Four Flag, who I think is maybe a little better than that last race indicates. I went 5-7 in a race where I really don't have any strong opinion whatsoever.
Fair enough. Let's take a look at race number 2. Begins the 50-cent early pick 4. This time we're running on the main track at the abbreviated sprint distance of 5.5 furlongs. Fillies and Mares in for a $12,500 tag. The program scratch of number 1, Irish Wahini, leaves us with a field of 5. Number 3, Gypsy Lynn from the red hot Steve Knapp barn, who's hitting at close to a 20% win percentage. Ridden by our leading rider, Juan Hernandez, is the 6-5 morning line favorite. Always tough to pick against John White. You picking against John White here?
Did John pick the 3?
I'm just saying favorite.
I would imagine he picked. No, I'm on the 3 here. I mean, this horse should win, but again, there are better 6-5 shots in your world. There are sometimes, low-level claiming races where the 6-5 is the better 6-5 than some stake race. But I think Gypsy Lynn's will be best here. I went 3-5, Tom, in this race. I just couldn't find a strong reason to go against the favorite in this particular spot. The 2 horse will be on a loose lead, I would imagine, pretty fast out of the gate. And so I think the 2 will be leading. 3, Gypsy Lynn, should be able to track her and beat her. And I will say this about Steve Knapp. His horses in the post parade are as shiny and good looking as any other barn.
It's a sign of healthiness.
It's just,
right?
He has, whoever's getting his final preparation ready, when they're like, giving him a little bath, or they come out, like, sometimes I'll look in the post parade and I'll say, like, hey, who's this? Oh, it's a Steve Knapp horse. So because of that, Linda Rice has the same situation in New York. There's certain trainers that they come out and they look great every time on the track.
It's like humans. If we walk in here all dulled out and, sloppy hair, probably had a rough night, not ready for your best performance.
You need to come with it, right? You need to have everything going in the right direction. But the point is that as a result of that, I almost have to temper my enthusiasm because they all look so good. So it's not necessarily, but he's winning at a high percentage, and I would expect that he would win today's set.
Fair enough. Race number 3, we're sprinting 6.5 furlongs in the turf course. This race is for maiden special weight Calbred 3-year-olds. We've got a field of 6. I'm going to let you pronounce the name of the second-time starter from the Ryan Hansen barn, who's the 8-5 morning line favorite.
I got a text from Michelle Yu.
There's no chance I'm tackling that name.
It's easy.
Even I know it's
easy
for you. You're a professional.
Well, it's easy because I listen to this cartoon. So I get a text from Michelle, and she's not one of these people that's going to send you bad jokes or
a lot of text.
Or
they're targeted.
Very rare
targeted.
text from Michelle. Yeah. So I'm gonna pay attention when I get it. It's not going to be like a joke or something. All of a sudden, it's some cartoon, and I'm like, finally, I looked at it a couple of times, and I'm like, what is this? You know what I mean? And then she told me it was the name of this horse, which is Uba Bakakeo.
Cartoon character.
It was something like that. There was kids talking about it, and they were explaining. Actually, I didn't even realize. I actually watched that thing at least 10 times because it was actually a cute little cartoon. Sent it to Shiva Scanlon, our head of TV, and she enjoyed it as well. I think this horse is my best bet of the day. This is the horse I was talking about. I remember this horse flying late last time out. I think this horse is a stone cold single in the 3rd. And in fact, I think it's really a very cold exacta because the 5, Travel and Show for Craig Lewis, was very highly touted and is a good-looking 3-year-old chestnut. And I was watching him closely because a couple of people were sending me texts that they had heard this, heard that. Steam is generally as valuable as vapor, but nevertheless, this horse is a good looker. And so I just think it's 2-5. This is Chalk City, USA. But I think Uba Bakakeo is a stone cold single. If he repeats that effort, he was flying. And that's the thing you got to remember. I mean, it looks that way, certainly, from the chart, that he was, last and then came rolling. But this horse was finishing best of all. I would say maybe even unlucky to not get the 9-1 in that win last time out by not winning. But that's the best bet of the day for me. And if I was going to give you one horse, I would say take the probably even money on that horse and go and watch the big game.
Well, you actually just described the action for the first race on January 13th, but that both number 2 and 5 exit in race number 3. So rather than listening to you describe it here at the desk, why don't we listen to you during the actual call of the race and see if what you just said kind of lines up with the way you described it.
All right, I think this horse was on the inside, the rail.
Yes, broke from the rail with Frankie Dettori.
The other one's the 9.
Correct, with a jock switch now over to Juan Hernandez. Let's watch the replay back on January 13th, the first race, and listen to Frank Mirahmadi describe the action.
And they're off. A Walk on the Moon is out very quickly, but here's Western Grit headstrong, and Western Grit will duel in the opening furlong with Got My Prance On. Another 3, Stagger Lee gets a perfect spot in 3rd. Don't Hit Me Bash. Jetfire along the rail is in 5th. Here's Travel and Show in the red colors, tugging his way forward within 4 lengths of the lead. Then it's Uba Bakakeo, who's down on the inside, 2 lengths in front of A Walk on the Moon, who was just passed by No Show Jones, and a 3-wide Clubhouse Charlie. Around the far turn, Western Grit 2-length lead, Stagger Lee in pursuit 2nd, and so is Travel and Show inching up a closer 3rd, has 3 to make up. Don't Hit Me Bash is in 4th, Got My Prance On retreating, then comes Jetfire in between horses. Outside of them, Uba Bakakeo, they're at the top of the stretch, and it's Western Grit maintaining a 2-length lead. Don't Hit Me Bash just having to alter course as Stagger Lee continues to progress. Center of the course, Uba Bakakeo is coming alive with big strides, and here comes Uba Bakakeo on the outside. Western Grit just in front of Stagger Lee. Stagger Lee surges to victory.
Frank, that replay we just watched was running the distance at 6 furlongs today at 6.5 on the flat turf course. It would make a case for Uba Bakakeo the way you just described it.
Theoretically, because sometimes closers are actually at a disadvantage going a little bit further because of the pace scenario.
Pace.
But I just thought this horse ran well. And I think Travelin' Show, actually, who was beaten, just 2 lengths by this horse last time, I think this horse will also make his presence felt today, too.
Race number 4 begins the $1 pick 6 sequence. We're sprinting 7 furlongs in the main track for 3-year-old fillies. It's a starter optional claiming race. We've got a field of 7. Number 2, She's My Niece, who has 1 career victory in 10 starts, but 5 second-place finishes, is the 5-2 morning line favorite. Juan Hernandez in the saddle again. Give us your thoughts on race 4.
This is a very difficult race, actually. I think you can go in several different directions. I went with number 4, Panda Peak. Always difficult to go on and take on winners right after a maiden win, but it was a very easy win. We talk about new riders. Armando Ayuso has done
tremendous.
He's doing a good job. I mean, this is very tough to come to Southern California and win, but he's getting mounts and he's performing with them. Winning at 17% on this circuit is not easy to accomplish. So good for him. And this Daughter of Distorted Humor came and won very easily off the layoff last time out for Mike Pipey, who does a great job, by the way, as a trainer and also as a seminar guest.
He sure does. I know.
I mean, he's
an encyclopedia.
Attention. He knows what's going on.
Yes,
I mean,
he does.
He's going to give you a strong opinion. So that's important, and he's going to educate you a little bit. And then the 6, Deficit Maha, I thought was interesting. Another, by the way, trainer whose horses look great on the track, Victor Trujillo up in Northern California. Those horses are always shiny as can be. And this horse comes down to Southern Cal and moves to Alfredo Marquez, who has fired with minimal starts. And the winner came back and won an optional claimer with a 63 Beyer speed figure. In her next start, the 5th place finisher came back and won a low-level 12-5 claimer. I went 4-6, but I wouldn't blame you if you spread or even use all in the 4th. It's not an easy race at all.
Race number 5 begins the 50-cent late pick 5. It also begins the $3 all turf pick 3 sequence, and we're sprinting 6.5 furlongs on the flat turf course for maiden special weights. 1 scratch the 6 Bronster, leaves us with a field of 9. The lukewarm morning line favorite is number 2, Devilish Desire, who's 7-2 on the morning line. Devilish Desire, as well as 2 other runners in this field, exit a 1-mile turf race back on January 7th. As I mentioned, today's distance is 6.5. So let's watch that replay back on January 7th. The runners that exit that race that are in race number 5 are Devilish Desire, Captain Coochie, Chuchis, as well as number 8, Uncle Reg, and number 9, Petkoff. Excuse me. There's 4 runners in this field of 9 exiting that same race. Again, 2 turns, now it's cutting back to a sprint. So let's listen to Frank describe the action back on January 7th.
And they're off. Quick start for Petkoff in the center, who sprints out for the early lead. Uncle Reg has speed. Devilish Desire is in between them, and Ashcroft makes a 4-wide bid after them. Captain Chuchi's just behind that group with Cantaro Doro in mid-pack. Sea of Cortez guided over to the rail, 2 lengths in front of Player B in the green colors. They're followed by Excel Calculator, and the early trailer is City Exile. Rounding the first turn, and it is Petkoff with a narrow advantage. About a neck in front of Uncle Reg in second. Ashcroft tugging his way forward, 3 of them right across the course. Then Captain Chuchi's and Devilish Desire racing next to one another. A length and a half back comes Sea of Cortez and Cantaro Doro. Then Excel Calculator, Player B, and City Exile continues at the back. Into the 4 turn, Petkoff, Uncle Reg, ahead back second. Ashcroft coming under some pressure while trying to keep pace, 3 wide in third. Captain Chuchi's and Devilish Desire are right together. Another length and a half behind them, Sea of Cortez. Passed on the outside by Cantaro Doro, who also has to go wide into the stretch. Angling out is Player B in the green as they pass the quarter pole and turn for home, and Petkoff tries to shake loose. Captain Chuchi's has had a good trip, gets out now trying to run him down within a length and a half of the leader, and Player B coming alive on the far outside. City Exile from last, and Devilish Desire. It's a driving finish. Captain Chuchi's takes the lead close to the wire. It's going to be photo finish in between horses. City Exile.
Mad scramble at the wire there, Frank. You perfectly called the winner, and I neglected to mention Player B was in that race as well, who we saw closing on the outside. Has had 1 start since then on January 20th. Now adds the blinkers for trainer Doug O'Neill, breaking from an outside post last time. Now goes inside. That's actually your top pick in the race.
I did pick him. This is another one where, you know, you can make a case, and let's talk about a few of these horses if we have a couple of minutes.
We do.
To go over it. But I did go to Player B. Player B gets the blinkers on. They do shorten up to 6.5 furlongs. He did come out of that race as well. And that's another example of how I trust what I was saying, right? Because in watching that race and listening to it, I mentioned that Player B was coming in that race. Now, granted, he finished 6th, so it wasn't really one of my most, it's not going to be going one.
Nobody's perfect.
It's not memorable, but I believe what I saw and what I was saying. He was coming.
Turn of foot. You saw the turn of foot.
Yeah, and he was lugging in a little bit in the stretch, so that might have hampered him. And then he came back and ran second, but he does get the blinkers back on where he used to have them. And when he did have them, he showed a little more early interest. And so therefore, in this race, which will just be his second sprint of the career, maybe he can get up. And more importantly, he's a big price. So that's why I take a shot with him. Now, when we talk about that race on January 7th, TQ, Captain Chuchi's ended up winning that photo over City Exile and was subsequently disqualified. It was a very long inquiry and process, and Captain Chuchi's was eventually disqualified, and he was placed behind the number 2, Devilish Desire. Devilish Desire kind of looked like he was tiring and done, and then he gamely fought back and only lost by a head. And the fact that he was coming out of 3 sprints before there where he showed good speed makes him a very dangerous contender. So even though I didn't pick him in my top 2, and he does get reunited with Flavien Prat, he could be very tough to deny in this spot because of the fact that his whole question mark last time when he went off at 15-1 against these horses was it's turf and it's a route, 2 new things. And while he looked like he was laboring mid-stretch, possibly, he wasn't. Diego Herrera stayed after him and almost got the money himself. And in fact, the stewards ruled that he was impeded as well in that situation, and therefore, he can be excused for losing by only a head. Diego ends up on the other Mark Glatt in here, a first-time starter, who is by Quality Road that they spent over $300,000 for. The horse next to him, Alpha Omega, was a $500,000 horse. Captain Chuchi's was traveling beautifully throughout in that race, and in mid-stretch, he kind of drifted out a little bit, and I think that's what ended up costing him via disqualification. So that was a tough beat if you had Captain Chuchi's. That was the last race of the day, so a lot of horses were, a lot of people were alive for various things. My phone was going nuts during that whole inquiry. I love when people chime in with me like I know the answer to these things. do my best to not comment on any steward's decisions because
We have no control.
we're on the home team here.
Exactly
all
right.
Whatever the stewards say, I didn't say I ruled. I say the stewards ruled. So whatever it is, my job is to convey the message of what is happening. And the stewards are here to enforce the rules of racing, which they did on January 7th. So I went 1-7. I thought Captain Chuchi's was really traveling nicely the whole race there. But Devilish Desire, how can you fault him, especially returning to a sprint where he's going to have speed and going back to Pratt, and then those two interesting firsters. Another wide open race, maybe player B comes and gets them all.
Race number 6 begins the 50-cent late pick 4 sequence. This is for 3-year-olds, allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 1 other than. Scratch the 1 leaves us with a field of 5. May Moon, who's the 3 to 5 morning line favorite and likely to go lower from the Bob Baffert barn, is the one that we're going to take a look in a workout, believe it or not, since his spectacular debut performance. This workout is back on January 30th. And not only did I want to show the work to kind of have us evaluate whether or not May Moon can get 2 turns, but take a look at his workmate. The workmate down on the inside is none other than Muth, who obviously has a very talented horse, finished 2nd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Bob Baffert, I think, and I have no idea if this is true or not, wanted to pair up this tandem to see exactly how much talent May Moon has. And I think he found the answer. You can see they're basically going to finish inseparable at the wire. I don't know how much effort or emphasis, Frank, you put on workouts, but I think with lightly raced horses, it's kind of important to see their development. And I think we can see the development here, at least as they turn for home, that they basically worked heads up, which is a good thing for May Moon.
It is. And May Moon is very, very talented. So I think workouts are very important, and it's good to watch them. And that's why people spend a lot of money to buy workout reports. Those
or watch free, xbtv.com.
Right. XBTV is a tremendous resource. And our team is out there and getting races. I mean,
pretty incredible when you think about it, that it's free of charge. We've got camera people out there, spotters. I mean, that's a lot of labor and love and effort that horse players get here at the Great Race Place that they don't get at any other racetrack.
And therefore, if you're going to make a decision as to who you should use as your advanced deposit wagering,
yes,
you should go right to firstbet.com or ExpressBet, which has been, that website still works just fine. But FirstBet is our parent company. But if you think about what's your
allegiance?
What has your ADW done for you?
Yes.
We're giving you free workouts. You can give us the business here at firstbet.com. How's that? First.com/bet.
Yeah.
There it is.
Now, having said that, do we go all in on May Moon, or is the price too prohibitive?
I'm telling you, I almost picked number 1, Revised Statute. I actually picked him 2nd originally because he's a first-time starter, son of Constitution, that they spent $1.8 million for. And I'm thinking, why is Richard Mandela in this spot? What is he doing? And he's a Hall of Famer.
He's not messing around.
Right, but he scratched him. So
yes.
I think he thought better of the whole situation. But I was debating about the 1-2 situation or 2-1. I think May Moon is the horse to beat. He looked tremendous in his debut. He did come out with blinkers, and he's out of a mare that only ran 1 time in a sprint. He's going a mile now. He should be able to handle a mile, but do you really want to take what's going to probably be even lower than 3 to 5 here? I think you just got to punch a 2-6 exacta. Excuse me, Wendell Tyler's old number, 26, and hope he doesn't fumble. Hold that ball like a loaf of bread. 26 is the move.
4 minutes left to get through 3 races. And
we can do it.
Race number 7 is our stakes race on the card. It's the Sweet Life Stakes, I should say, for 3-year-old fillies coming down the hillside turf course. We've got a good field of 11 here. Number 7, Voodoo Magic from the Phil D'Amato barn is the lukewarm 7-2 morning line favorite. 11 ways you can go here, Frank. Which way you going?
I got Obscure Steam at dinner last night.
Is it meaningful? It might be obscure, but is it meaningful? Okay.
Very meaningful.
Okay.
The 7
Do tell.
Voodoo Magic is working well. This is the report, and it's an accurate one.
Okay.
So I had to pick her on that note after listening to that, because I'm thinking, what are the odds that I would even be here for dinner tonight, let alone hearing this from someone who knows very well about those workouts. So I'm going to have to pick her on top because of that. And the horse I almost picked on top is the 3 Sea Dancer, Mastery out of a mare named Kuyathi for the Kuyathi Group, LLC, which is Count Upon Your Angels to Help You. It's one of my favorite owner. Might be my favorite,
really cool.
Probably my favorite owner name ever. And I like to mention that when they win. And this horse won last time. And I think I mistakenly even said he late in the stretch because this thing looked like a colt. And that was not something I was very happy with at all. But Johannes is the sibling. And Johannes had one of the most exciting races down the hill. Why not? 15-1. We talked about Armando Ayuso, Tim Yakteen. This horse turning back in distance, so you have a little bit of stamina down the hill. Sea Dancer, I think, is a long shot that has to be used in your exotics. And, of course, the 11 is an interesting one as well. But I went 7-3, almost went 3-7, but hearing that workout information out of nowhere last night made me go and call the audible.
Race number 8 begins the $1 Golden Hour Pick 4 sequence, linking our last 2 races here with the last 2 races at our sister track, Golden Gate. And we kick things off, sprinting 5.5 furlongs in the main track for maiden claiming Calabreds. $50,000 is the claiming tag. Field of 8, morning line favorite number 7, Aniston, who I believe has been running exclusively on turf, now tries dirt for the first time. What say you about race 8, Frankie?
Wide open. You need steam here, so please go to all your steam sources and try to figure it out. I went to the 2 Disobey, Sam Scolamieri. I've never met Sam, but Sam's been around a long time. I remember the Trevor Denman replay show on KDOC 56. Good luck to Sam Scolamieri. So this guy's been around a long time. I hope he wins just for the fact that he's a veteran in this game, 5-year-old son of mine shop. I went to the 3 Dangerous Game as my second pick for Dean Pedersen. Dean is excellent with first-time starters. Yesterday, on Beat the Host, I picked the wrong Carla Gaines on top. So that might happen here because there's another Dean Pedersen in the 6 Spend It All. And then you have to worry about Hungry Hearts for Legacy Ranch by Dancing Candy out of their Great Broodmare 2. Salty Fries makes this a sibling to Asada Fries. And Brian Corner and Pete Perella and Ed Perella of Legacy Ranch go back a long, long time. My question was, this horse is in for 50 despite this good breeding. But then again, what are you going to do with a 4-year-old gelding? Wide open race. I would use the 2, 3, 5, and 6. I'm definitely, no disrespect, I'm strongly against the 8. Get him Dusty in this spot. Absolutely against that horse.
We're tight on time, Frank, but I got to ask you a question. It's early in the morning. It's big game Sunday. So if we run over by a minute, it's no big deal. Because this is a question
I got to do the changes next anyway in the anthem. Someone can wait.
I think the fans want to know this. You mentioned Trevor Denman. Do you talk to him much at all? I mean, how's he doing?
He's doing great, and I do speak to him. I haven't in over a month, but we've kept in touch, and it's really a very fulfilling situation that I've become very good friends with him. We've had conversations on the phone that have lasted over 2 hours on numerous occasions.
All work related or just a variety
of
talking?
About various things, and he has helped me so much. I studied him. I regard him as the best of all time, and not even close. And his ability to read a race is unmatched by anyone and never will be. But he's got the voice, he's got the everything. He's just the man. And my career has been inspired by his brilliance without any question whatsoever. That's why Golden Pheasant is my favorite horse, because Golden Pheasant winning the Arlington Million was a part of Trevor's Foreign Form segment that they used to do with horses making their, like he would have had a foreign form about that horse that I picked in the 7th race.
The Phil DeMotto, Voodoo something.
He would have told you about this horse coming out of a Group 1 and a
time form rating.
Correct. And that's when no one even knew what time form was. And so he would educate the fans. And even on that replay show, you would learn from his commentary both before and after. And on K-Win, the radio show here, which took my fan level from here to the moon, because I didn't even care if I came with people to the track anymore. I had my little Walkman and I was listening to Trevor for those brief moments. So he's the best. And his wife, Robin. So it's usually Trevor, Robin, and I on the phone. They're in different rooms. They each have a phone. It would be highly entertaining for anyone to hear those conversations, but he is the man, and I love him, and I just respect him and worship his greatness, because, he changed my level of loving horse racing to this point, and I mean this as sincerely as I can. If it came down in those days, in the 80s and the 90s, where I could watch a race with no sound or hear a race with no video, give me the audio, please. And that
he paints the picture.
There's no one who painted it ever any better than him. And the amazing part about it is I tried my best not to bother him in the booth and visit him too much, like we're buddies or colleagues, please. Guy's an idol. So I very rarely would. I would try to see him once a year briefly, and I'd always want him to leave. And he'd say, no, stay. And he let me stay for a couple of races one time. And I remember watching him. The most amazing part, because his voice was booming, right? You'd be amazed at how low he's actually speaking. Mm-hmm. But it's just, he has that ability to raise it. And it's just, it creates excitement. And that's why I always credited Fairplex Park for having the intelligence to pay him whatever he wanted, because that brought their brand up to the levels of the Santa Anita and Del Mar where he was calling. They were smart. They didn't care. And believe me, they told me that they coughed up big time to get him. And they did the right thing, because Trevor is a difference maker and an all-time icon.
We close out the day and we close out the week in race number 9. Keep in mind we have a 5-day racing week next week. That's right. We race on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and holiday Monday. So 5-day racing week beginning on Thursday. 9-race card kicks off at 12:30 p.m. But first things first, race number 9, we're traveling 1 mile on the turf course. Starter optional claiming race. Also begins the $5 golden hour daily double. Program scratch of the 1 leaves us with a field of 10. Number 2, Cali Bay is the 3-1 morning line favorite. Jay Cohen's tapping his foot in the winner's circle, getting ready to announce the colors, so to speak. Who do you like in race 9 and why?
I like the 7 Midnight Joe Star, Diego Herrera up. I don't remember, and I meant to text Nick Casado or his son Ryan today to ask. I don't know that Vladimir Serin has ever trained for them, but it's one of my strongest angles, which is when a trainer gets horses for the first time. It might not be true here, but I'll find out. But this horse, Midnight Joe Star, you talk about a good-looking 7-year-old. He's a good looker, and I like him. I went 7-11 in that order. You generally yell for 7-11 on a felt table, which I highly recommend staying away from because the 7 comes usually when you don't want it. 7-11 in the finale, Midnight Joe Star for Slam Dunk.
One more wager to highlight. That's the Coast to Coast Pick 5 today. That's right. Pick 5 wager linking races here from San Diego with our sister track Gulfstream Park in South Florida. Kicks off at 12:07 p.m. Pacific time with Gulfstream Park race 7. $1 minimum, low 15% takeoff. Frankie, thank you so much for your time and insight today. Always a pleasure having you here on traditional Big Game Sunday. Really enjoyed the time we spent together. Best of luck up in the booth today.
Thanks for the privilege, my friend. Enjoyed it, and I love interacting with the fans, so I hope we gave you a couple winners. The one I like the most, Uba Bakakeo for Ryan Hansen.
We love having you watch the seminar as well. Hope you enjoyed it. You'll hear Frank give us any updated scratches. First post in 26 minutes. Thanks for watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, where the track is fast, the turf course is firm, and the rail on the turf out 10 feet. Here's a reprise of the scratches and changes. Nothing new to report. The first race kicks off the early pick 5 with no program changes. In the second race, beginning of the early pick 4, program scratch of 1, Irish Wahine. No changes in the third. The fourth race is the start of the $1 pick 6. No changes. In the fifth, scratch number 6, Bronster. Race 5, take out the 6. It's the start of the $3 all-turf pick 3, as well as the 50-cent late pick 5. In the sixth race, scratch number 1, Revised Statute. Race 6, take out the 1. Turning to the 7th race. No changes. 8th race is the start of the Golden Hour Pick 4, linking the last 2 races from Santa Anita Park with the final 2 from Golden Gate Fields. No changes in the 8th. And in our 9th race, scratch number 1, Erebus. Enjoy your day at the Great Race Place. Enjoy the big game here and take a shot in the Coast to Coast Pick 5. We've had a carryover and some huge payouts every Saturday and Sunday, combining races from Gulfstream Park and Santa Anita. Today's begins with Gulfstream's 7th race, kicking off at 12:07 p.m. Low 15% takeout, $1 minimum wager. The Coast to Coast Pick 5 has had some extraordinary results. Post time for the opener in 22 minutes at 11 a.m. Enjoy your day at the Great Race Place and enjoy the big game right here as well. They're off.
A challenging feature race on Sunday at Santa Anita, carded as the 7th on the program. It's called the Sweet Life Stakes, $100,000 purse for 3-year-old fillies, sprinting down the tricky hillside turf course and attracting a